You're listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast, a Texas Tech athletics podcast where food and sports clash at the goal line. Here are your hosts, Spencer and Michael.
All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to the episode of the 23 Personnel Podcast. I am your host, Spencer, joined by Michael. Michael, what's up, man?
This is it. We're in a game week. It is December 29th, and we're still talking about an active season of Texas Tech football.
Yes, sir.
What a time. What a wonderful, the most wonderful time of the year, as the song says, which is clearly what it references, is this glorious run that Texas Tech is on. We'll get into basketball too, but it's been a 12 days of Christmas for us, that's for sure. We've had more than 12 days. 12 wins of Christmas?
Just need 3.
How are you?
We are doing well. Back in the 361. We were on a little Texas road trip. Went to Lubbock, went to Dallas, and now we're back. I say we are without the boys. They are with their grandmother in Dallas for the next week and a half while they are still out of school, and Samantha and I are back in work. So it's the thing with kids in school but not old enough to stay home. Have to have somebody watch them.
Oh yeah.
So
Yep.
they're with Mimi, and we are grateful for that. But
Shout out
anyways,
to Mimi.
Yeah, shout out to Mimi. She was also my host for the Big 12 championship game. So much obliged, mother.
5 stars.
Always 5-star combinations.
There you go.
Yeah, we're talking Texas Tech football in a playoff game in the Orange Bowl. Talking about the Oregon Ducks, preview how the Texas Tech matches up with them. Get you all of our thoughts on how the game stacks up, how the people want you to believe that the Oregon Ducks schedule has been just so much more brutal and preparing them for this matchup. Or inversely, how Texas Tech played nobody and is not ready for this. I have some data to present without comment. No, I'm just kidding. No. I have this chart here, Michael, and it's gonna take a lot of discussion. Not discussion. I love talking through to tell you what all this is, how it was in my brain and how it's come out. These numbers, not the best format to talk about. Podcasting is not a numbers medium, but I basically went through and did some research about okay, we're going to use S&P Plus, and we're going to look at game outputs, offense and defense. When Oregon faced this level of team, what did the game look like? Points, yards, that kind of thing. Tell you how that stacks up. And then we'll do our normal preview, talk about guys to know and what they've done this season. Some key figures, red zone statistics, leaders on both sides of the ball. For those that don't know what the scheme is going to look like, if that even matters to you. An initial availability report. Spoiler alert from both sides. It doesn't look like there's any surprises there. Except for maybe Stone Harrington being listed on the probable list. Not that it's a surprise that he's probable, but why is he listed at all? We'll look at other metrics that have the game projected and how Texas Tech is favored in some and underdog in others, and get you all the things, man. We just have so many different angles to hit this, to come at this one from. I want to start on the periphery of this, Texas Tech related, but not Orange Bowl. And then maybe talk about some bowl games and then drill down into this one specifically. Yeah?
I'm on board with this plan.
All right. Let's start with transfer portal because it opens. It opens on Friday. And at this point last season, you were wrapping up your class. This one, you got a lot of fingers pointing and rumors and smoke swirling. Unofficial announcements or plans or intentions being leaked. But what you're hearing is you're starting to hear a few more Texas Tech players, rostered players, announcing their intention to hit the portal when it officially opens on Friday. Now, the names that we've heard so far aren't a surprise. They're not heavy contributors. They're not even role players at this point. You have hopes and intentions for these guys to be contributors down the road, development guys to continue to build up your pipeline of talent. So the guys that have announced their intentions to this point, if I can find kicker Upton Bellenfant, wide receiver Kelby Valson, wide receiver tight end Preston Harrison, wide receiver Price Morgan, defensive end Dylan Spencer, linebacker Justin Horn, and then tight end defensive lineman Tanner Allen. So those that pay attention to recruiting probably recognize Valson, Harrison, Spencer from a couple of years ago, Horn from a couple of years ago, and Morgan. I didn't know Tanner Allen. I did not. His name did not stick with my brain. Bellenfond was this past season addition to the transfer portal. Spencer was from a couple of years ago from Texas. I think it was a signing day flip, and played a little bit a couple of years ago. Harrison, I think, was a physical project, if that makes sense, waiting for some development there. Morgan was, I don't want to say like nepotism, but he was brought in with his brother, Peyton Morgan, and I think was a lot like the McRoy brothers from a few years ago. Like one was the more highly sought after of the pair, and it was Peyton. You would love to hold on to Peyton Morgan. You don't really want to split up brothers. I think you also saw this happen with or you saw adding a pair of brothers together with your running back this offseason. What's his name?
This offseason?
Yeah, the transfer from USC.
The guy that got hurt?
Yeah.
My gosh.
What's it? It's terrible.
Quentin
Joyner.
Know this.
Oh my gosh, Quentin Joyner. He and his brother joined together. Not that there's
tracks,
anything wrong with that. Just pointing it out. It's happened at Texas Tech before. You get a pair of brothers in. But these are the guys that have announced their intent to hit the portal at this point. With all due respect, you wish these guys well. Not any major surprises, and they're not going to leave any major gaps on the roster that you have to immediately address. I'll just leave it at that.
Well, now I am a little bit, with Stone Harrington listed as kind of a probable out of the blue. Maybe Upton Bellenfant. I wonder if he could just not quite pack all his stuff yet.
Well,
he had to give 30 days probably. So I would assume he's still got his apartment. Maybe he could at least just make the trip to Miami.
You still have Ian Hershey, the transfer from Arizona State. And maybe this means that you don't kick. No kicking. No stone zone. Literally,
they're
no
taking
kicking.
taking that very seriously. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if he plays. I don't know.
And then on the incoming side, obviously, without it being officially open, there's no official here outside of the Texas Tech, the high school LOI flip from the fallout from Michigan. We talked about this last time. Matt Moose Ludwig. There are 3 names I've listed here as lots of smoke, heavy favorites for Texas Tech. We talked about Brennan Sorsby, the quarterback from Cincinnati last time. The thing that gives me pause there, Michael, is him testing the NFL draft waters. So if you were to go all in and be like, that's the quarterback that we want to take, and that's the transfer you sign, and then in April he's like, no, you know what, I got better grades, I'm gonna go out and and go pro, you're like, then you're missing out. So if you do go after a Sorsby type, you may also need to be going after another lesser known but still starter type of guy. I don't know how, I don't know the timeline how all that's going to work out if you can get draft grades situated in more direction and commitment from a Sorsby type. But he's out there in the portal, threw for almost 3,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, ran 100 times for another 580 yards and 9 more touchdowns. So what is that? 3,400 yards, 36 touchdowns, and 5 turnovers.
Doesn't sound
Pretty
bad.
good. Pretty good. And then you got Eugene Trey Wilson, wide receiver from Florida. That is, again, not confirmed, but heavily rumored to be heading Lubbock way. Added or contributed more than 1,000 receiving yards and 10 touchdowns for the Gators this season. And then a eye popper, big eyebrows, linebacker Austin Romaine from Kansas State. Is, I don't think officially in the portal, or maybe he is, or just maybe it's just going back and forth. Meeting with Colin Klein and the new coaching staff as it's being assembled there in Manhattan. They supposedly have a very aggressive offer to him to keep him in a Kansas State Wildcat uniform, but is open, or at least hearing counter offers from the Red Raiders.
So has Colin Klein lost the program? Is it too soon?
He's just getting his arms around it. You know, he's trying to bring everything back in where he can close his arms around it. But until then, things are gonna eke out. Dylan Edwards is out. Austin Romaine may be out. Their quarterback. Why am I blanking on names so hard? It's been 2 weeks and I'm like forgetting everybody's names.
Avery Johnson may be
open to hearing the overtures of other programs. It's going to be wild. I said that about the coaching carousel. The portal will for sure be wild. Other guys we talked about last time, Sam Levitt, I think is a very heavy favorite to go to LSU. DJ Lagway, smoke there about him ending up in Waco. Dylan Raiola, I saw most recently rumored to be a connection out to Oregon. Jaden Craig, I can't remember where I saw him. North Texas, maybe.
That Harvard to Denton pipeline.
Something.
It exists.
We talked about other Big 12 players: Ja'Carri Brown, Taven Jackson from UCF, Dior Hubbard, Jaheim White from West Virginia, the running backs, Dylan Edwards. Another couple of guys to keep your eyes on. Former Texas Tech players, and when they transferred out, there was a lot of talk about them potentially making their way back. Trey McAlpine and Harvey Dyson along the defensive line. They both went to Tulane together. They've both announced their intention to hit the portal since their season has now concluded. Don't know if I would hate bringing them back into the fold.
You know, a couple guys on a fellow playoff team.
For sure.
Yeah, bring them in.
Coaching carousel news. You know, Michigan found itself in need of a new head coach. And found it in Kyle Whittingham, who was pushed out or retired or stepped down from Utah for whatever reason. Don't hate that move for him and for Michigan. Actually.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably going to be pretty good there. He was pretty decent at Utah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Over,
Well, he was there for 30 years, so
right, with a non-traditional power program, or a team that was in the Mountain West, a team that's on its third conference, I think, since he started coaching there. So
it's true.
I mean, yeah, put him up in Ann Arbor and see what happens. I think it could go really well, but I'm with you. I don't know. He's said himself it was all his decision. People will say that. Uh, he may mean it. Who knows? But it is just kind of interesting to be somewhere at 20 years and kind of make it sound like you're just hanging up the old cleats. You're 65 or 66, whatever he was. I don't remember. And then just to show up at a team that just happens to need a winning ball coach after firing their guy who was, I don't know, not up to snuff for the job. Anyway, very interesting to me on that. And I really feel for Utah fans. I never do. I'm kidding. I don't. But it's
Screw
got
those
to,
guys.
yeah, it's got to hurt a little bit. Although they will never admit it. They probably think they already think they're better off without him.
Yeah, they're going to be just fine.
Yeah, they're going to be even better. That just look out. He was holding them back in this truck stop conference. Sorry.
All right. Yeah.
Any
good luck
chance
to Utah.
any chance to throw shade to Utah, I'm going to try to do it.
All right. So considerable number of bowl games have taken place since we last spoke. First round of the playoffs were Friday night, Saturday. These were the days I was either packing up or driving to Lubbock before Christmas. I watched the entirety of the Oklahoma-Alabama game, and it was entertaining. Having no skin in that game except for wanting both teams to lose. So watching Oklahoma get up big and then watching them absolutely just lose that lead in just laughable fashion. To lose to Alabama, I don't know. It was enjoyable. And not that like it was great football to watch, but it was the morbid curiosity of driving past a car wreck. I couldn't tear my eyes away from it. So that was one of two first round upsets, technically 9-8. Ole Miss took care of Tulane by 31, kind of as expected, 41-10. Oregon takes down James Madison 51-34. Obviously, they are going to be Texas Tech's quarterfinal matchup in the Orange Bowl. And then I wouldn't even call it like a defensive slugfest type of game. It was just ugly, bad football. Texas A&M losing at home to Miami 10-3.
So many missed field goals. Just
They said it was the wind, but it wasn't that windy.
I'm with you. I think there were so many. Every time I turned on the TV, it was just such a defensive battle here, and just really locking horns here, and thinking, I don't know. I don't think that's the case. Actually, I think they're both good teams that do play defense, but I lean more on what you described, which was just kind of not great.
Yeah. So second round matchups, you're going to get the Rose Bowl, number 1 Indiana and Alabama, 9 seed Alabama. Cotton Bowl, Ohio State is a 2 seed versus the 10 Miami. Then the Sugar Bowl, the 3 seed Georgia playing the 6 seed Ole Miss. And then the Orange Bowl, your Texas Tech Red Raiders playing the Oregon Ducks. There's been at parts of 3 other games, but really one other bowl game I've watched, and it was the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Oh my gosh, such good TV.
I I was having as much time. I was enjoying. Well, I was having as good of a time explaining all of the extracurriculars around the Pop-Tarts Bowl to my family that wasn't as cued into all of that as I was watching the game. Sorry, I was reading a comment. Number 12, BYU, 22, Georgia Tech. On the 27th, on Saturday, Georgia Tech got out to a 21-7 lead, and then BYU came roaring back to win it 25-21, sealed it with an interception in the end zone with seconds to go. It was so much fun. And then I was like, so my family was like, there's typically oversized edible Pop-Tarts somewhere in this post game. And then the show about the mascots dressed up on the toaster on the field, and then the large pastries coming out of the bottom, and then you get Coach Sataki breaking off a corner and eating it. It's pure cinema. Outside of the actual game itself, the game was fantastic. I had snippets of the Pinstripe Bowl on, which was kind of funny. That was preseason, a national title matchup to some.
Yep.
And then let's see, I had the Gator Bowl on for a few minutes. Missouri, Virginia. That ended up being a snooze fest. Virginia won that one 13-7. And then I watched a little bit of the Texas Bowl there at the end. Houston knocking off LSU, because it just means more to LSU and the SEC teams to not show up to their bowl games, but to only hang on to hypothetical wins, but to lose them on the field. Cougars win that one 38-35. Or Cougars win that one. Did I say that?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. Houston took down LSU.
That was really, I think you watched even more than I did. I watched I probably watched a little more NFL than most over the weekend, but I did catch a good chunk of the BYU Georgia Tech game, and that was kind of a vintage 2025 BYU game where you're down by multiple touchdowns and you come back and win it anyways. And that's what always worried me about playing them. And they did it to Georgia Tech, who's a pretty darn good team. But man, the Pop-Tarts Bowl, hats off to Kalani Sitake for having his players in the right frame of mind and ready to go to enjoy this bowl, to treat it in the way it's meant to be treated. Hey, and it stinks that it's kind of turned into, maybe, I don't know, I haven't gone back and looked at the 3-year history of the Pop-Tarts Bowl or whatever, but it's kind of turned into one of the 12-team playoff teams, or there's a chance one of the teams in it could have been in the playoff or something like that.
Should have, yeah.
Could have, should have, yeah. I mean, Notre Dame turned it down notoriously, but I think that's the way if this is going to be the one that you play, like you're the first ones out, that's the way you've got to approach it. You just got to.
Did you
make it the most fun, the most outlandish, the most ridiculous thing, and enjoy the heck out of it? Go to Orlando. Who doesn't like Pop-Tarts? I'm sure there's probably people that don't, but I would almost imagine there's someone who likes at least one flavor and or type, and who has strong opinions on toasted versus cold versus microwave versus whatever. But that's the beauty of it. And the sprinkles in the end zone, the sprinkles on the helmets and the stripes, the guy handing out a trophy wearing a quarter zip with Pop-Tart sprinkles on it. And I think he even said something weird when he didn't say congratulations to the BYU Cougars. I think that's what he meant to say, but it's like he threw in an extra letter in there or forgot they were the Cougars or had a partial stroke. I'm not sure what happened, but he was decked out. The quarter zip took away from most of that, but I enjoy the heck out of that, and I'm really proud of the way BYU handled themselves and didn't use it as a woe is me moment. You know, Sataki's cracking jokes up there. He was talking about trying to get his weight up so that he can have more to lose when his New Year's resolution hits in a week. And anyway, it was fun, and really, what a way to end the season. Texas Tech, to make it all about us, because it is. Texas Tech beat a 12-win team twice. A team that beat 12 different teams. Texas Tech beat them twice. But it's still not enough for some people.
Wasn't even close.
Neither time.
There's so much right about the Pop-Tarts Bowl. The marketing, like,
oh yeah, you're looking at it through that lens, probably going, man.
Well, because
this is like a clinic.
The press did you see Sataki's press conference? He was asked about like his favorite Pop-Tart flavors. Before this was like in the game leading up, so we talked about like
this is right up our alley. This is why we like it so much too. Is anytime you put a microphone and say, "Hey, what's your favorite type of blank food?"
Yeah, well, also, yeah, it's food related. It's Coach Sataki. It's all the things. He talked about stacking two different flavors and taking a bite like that. He said, "Don't knock it till you try it." He was.
I do that with Starburst, but not Pop-Tarts.
I've not done that to Starburst. He was non-committal. He said he could go either way on toasted versus untoasted because they're good. I think he started off his answer saying he could use a Pop-Tart right then. He kind of cracked a joke about like how he and the coach for Georgia Tech can agree on several things, but Pop-Tarts being good. He referenced that there was that mishap because the trophy has like a toaster in it, and they try to push it down the Pop-Tarts in together, and it wasn't sticking or something. I don't know. That man is a treasure. And
it's great.
Absolutely would like if it wasn't Joey McGuire, like I would absolutely want to have a guy like Kalani Sitake. Did you see the BYU post-game shirts that were handed on the field? It's like the People's Champs.
No, I watched the whole post-game ceremony. Somehow I missed that. No.
Yeah, it was like the People's National Champion. And it wasn't like a BYU thing. It was the Pop-Tarts Bowl people doing it. And then I saw lots of people saying like other branded bowl games like don't make a great connection into the game. And like there's not a whole lot of ROI or benefit to the sponsor. Like, why do I care about Valero and the Alamo Bowl? Or that doesn't make me want to do Pop-Tarts Bowl. I want to go buy some Pop-Tarts.
Yeah. Well, there were people doing that. There were people, a friend of mine who's a diehard Texas fan. Guess where he didn't go to college?
Texas.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, a friend of mine on the Facebook, he was prepping for the Pop-Tart Bowl by going out and buying a bunch of Pop-Tarts and Cheez-Its. And that's, I mean, you know, if I had thought more about it or something, or if I was that into it, obviously if Tech was in it, I'd be going all out with some form of Pop-Tart charcuterie board with some Cheez-Its and whatever else this company makes. I just throw it all together. It'd be fine. They were posting the food. They had these crazy, insane nachos and hot dogs and stuff at the game. I mean, I would, that's truly one that I think I could convince my family to go if Tech makes the Pop-Tart Bowl someday. I'm like, well, let's go to Orlando, guys.
It's in Orlando.
Let's do it.
One more glaze before we move on. Did you
Frost. So one more frosting.
So they had the Gatorade buckets of Gatorade, but they also had Gatorade buckets of the mini Pop-Tarts that they dumped on Sataki. There was two of them, two different ones.
Those are so good. Have you had those?
I have not.
No free ads.
Sounds
But
like they would.
man, they
No free.
are.
20 minutes to talk about Pop-Tarts. No free ads.
This is what you get. Okay, we're not going to sit here and talk about guaranteed rate, or I mean, as much as we do,
Gasparilla Bad Boy mowers.
Yeah, Kinder's makes some decent barbecue sauce and seasonings and stuff, but that's just not Pop-Tarts, man. That's way more fun.
Like, you could do that, but you have to like really steer it. Like the Pop-Tarts bowl, like it's 100% committed into the bit of it being a Pop-Tart. Like the Kinder's Texas bowl, like they just talked about the brand. Like you need to have like big platters of barbecue, and like you need to go all in on it being a barbecue sauce. Do everything barbecue sauce tangential related, like little smokies, ribs, brisket, things you would do with barbecue sauce.
The gasoline fight in Zoolander. That, but just barbecue sauce.
Like dump that on the winning coach instead of Duke's mayo.
Yes. We're on to something. See, you're in the biz. Reach out to them. You're in the neighborhood over there.
I know some people.
Give them your info. But yeah, that I watched a little bit of like you. I mean, almost the exact same ones you watched. A little bit of the
it was just Saturday,
Pinstripe
really.
Bowl. Yeah, Saturday was really all I paid attention to. I would check some scores here and there. I actually wish I would have seen the Hawaii Cow Bowl. That sounded pretty crazy, but that was a little past my bedtime after a long but wonderful Christmas Eve, so I missed out on that. But yeah, Pop-Tart Bowl, that's it. That was the one that caught my attention the most.
So there's a Birmingham Bowl today, Monday. We're recording early. Tuesday, the 30th, you'll get the Independence Bowl at 2 p.m. Music City Bowl, 5:30. That's going to be Tennessee. Well, hold on. Independence Bowl, Coastal Carolina, and Louisiana Tech. So our boy, I'm just terrible with names.
Sonny
Cumby. Did you see he took a taser? Taser shot in the pre.
Was that real? I think I saw it was one of those things I saw it I scrolled past and it said something about Sonny Cumby takes a taser and at La Tech. What? That can't be. And then something happened out that day and I never followed back up on it. So what was it? Did he lose a bet?
I don't know. It was like the team was around. They were, I think it's
Is it
real.
the Taser Independence Bowl? Are they sponsored? Are they sponsored by whoever makes tasers?
Yeah, I have no idea. I just saw him get like he's like laying down on the ground, and they hooked the taser up to him, and then I got him pretty good.
That's rough.
Music City Bowl, 5:30, Tennessee, Illinois. That one could be entertaining if you get people. If Tennessee cares, if it just doesn't mean
that's true.
And then the nightcap, Alamo Bowl, Southern California, and TCU. I drove through San Antonio yesterday. Well, I didn't drive past the Alamo Bowl like I did going up to Lubbock because the route down from Dallas, you get the 35, then the 410, you go on the outside of it. So I didn't go through San Antonio last night, but I was there. Wednesday, the ReliaQuest Bowl, Iowa Vanderbilt at noon. Arizona State Duke at 2 p.m. in the Sun Bowl. This is Wednesday. Citrus Bowl, Texas, Michigan, 3 p.m. Nebraska. Las Vegas Bowl, Nebraska, Utah. And then the first quarterfinal will be Wednesday night, Ohio State and Miami in Arlington.
Man, that's a really great slate. I think last Saturday, and I'm sure this is all done for a reason, but Saturday was a really nice slate of bowl games on the 27th. And then, New Year's Eve, man, I will be working, so I will miss quite a bit of this, but I may have it on.
I'm working half a day.
Yeah, that's probably realistically what I'm doing. I will be there until we close, but I may have a screen.
Live update from Monday Night Football. Rams come back from 21-0 deficit to tie it. 2:46 left.
The NFL has been nuts this whole weekend. just insane. I think last night was just back and forth the whole time. I think it was 42-38 or something. Who was it? Niners. The Niners won. I forgot who they were playing, but it seems like there were so many games. The Bills, they went for it on. They were down 13-12. They were down 13-0, and they had a PAT blocked,
Mm-hmm.
and so they were down 13-6. Then they're driving at the very end of the game. They score with 5 seconds left, I think. Go for 2.
To win it, yeah.
Don't get it. Just, I mean, an incredible slate of NFL this last week. But wow, man, I almost had that on, but I was watching my Spurs lose. I think Oklahoma City was their Super Bowl. They beat them 3 times in the month of December, and then they've lost 2 in a row. And one of them was to a bad Utah team. Just tonight, they lost to Cleveland. So it's all right. They'll be okay. They'll regroup. They're coming back.
So you talked about the slate of games on Wednesday the 31st. You get the quarterfinal, the Cotton Bowl that night, then all day Thursday. Playoff games. Texas Tech up first at 11, Rose Bowl at 4, Sugar Bowl at 8. And then Friday, Armed Forces Bowl, Liberty Bowl, Mayo Bowl, Holiday Bowl. You've got a Arizona SMU matchup in the Holiday Bowl that night, Friday. And then you're off in terms of games until the 8th, 9th, the Fiesta Bowl, Peach Bowl matchups. But we'll be back before then. Let's set the table for the Orange Bowl, Michael. Let's talk about Red Raiders taking on the Ducks. The Oregon Ducks, 12-1, 8-1 in Pac-12. Good gravy. Big Ten play. 11 a.m. kickoff, ESPN. They are, of course, led by Dan Lanning. I think this is his 4th season. Their 12-1 record looks like this: wins against Montana State, Oklahoma State, Northwestern, Oregon State, Penn State in double overtime. Then they lost to number 1 Indiana at home, 30-20. And they went on their 7-game win streak following that against Rutgers, Wisconsin, Iowa in a monsoon, if you want to believe it, Minnesota, a good USC win, Washington, and then the first round playoff action against James Madison. Here's where I think we need to talk about their strength of schedule, strength of record, and all this kind of nonsense, Michael. Because I think if you listen to anybody that talks about Oregon or Texas Tech, it's they play in the Big Ten and they've been prepared for this and they're going up against Texas Tech and they play in the Big 12 and they played nobody. Their schedule, blah, 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 blah.
The beauty of this,
mm-hmm.
I wanted to say this before you go. The beauty of this is because of this CFP, all these hypotheticals are going to be decided on Thursday. I love it. I'm just so excited that they, it's great. I want to hear what you've got because I want some ammo for some people. But man, let them talk a little bit. Let them talk a little bit because they get to play each other, and we're going to find this stuff out. This would not have happened 2 years ago. It's fantastic.
All right, so I will not tell you that Oregon has played nobody or that you're going to downplay their schedule. Their strength of schedule, 4th in the country. Their strength of record is 3rd. What I will tell you, though, Michael, and ammo to give to people that are downplaying Texas Tech playing in the Big 12. Texas Tech's strength of schedule, 15th. Texas Tech's strength of record, 7th. So it's not like there's some huge gap between the 12-1 Oregon Ducks and the 12-1 Texas Tech Red Raiders. It's really not. It's 2 top 15 strength of schedules. It's 2 top 10 strength of records.
It's not a night and day, that's for sure.
No. All right, Michael, you're looking at this table. I don't know if you've had enough time to decipher it yet. I want to go through it. So what I did is I I looked at S&P Plus or SP Plus for offense, defense ratings, not only for Texas Tech and Oregon, but for each team on the schedule. And then I compared that to what Oregon did. So Oregon is the number 4 SP Plus team in the country. They have the 5th rated SP Plus offense. They average 39 points per game, 250 passing yards, 220 rushing yards per game. Excuse me. They had the 6th best SP Plus defense. They allowed 16 points per game, 158 passing yards, 113 rushing yards. Okay, that's their season averages. You can say, well, they played these guys, these nobodies, consider rain or weather or injuries. That's where I will admit that there are holes in the way that this is set up. So don't come at me in the comments or on Twitter or whatever saying, well, that doesn't mean blah, blah, blah. Because what I'm doing is I'm taking SP Plus data, but also considering points and yards. But I'm just trying to show a correlation here. It does not take into effect injury, road versus home, conference, although I do pick out the top 3 opponents for both of these teams and their conference opponents. Road versus away, injury. I can't dig that deep into the weeds. But what I can tell you, when the Oregon Duck offense faced their top 3 defenses, Indiana, Iowa, Washington, I averaged out those 3 defenses' S&P Plus ratings and got to just under a 7, which is a really strong defense. What the Oregon offense did against that defense was they scored 21 points, they threw for 195 yards, and they ran for just under 150. Remember, but their season average, they scored 39, they threw for 250, they ran for 220. So they had between 50 and 70 yards fewer in passing and rushing, and 18 fewer points scored against the Indiana, Iowa, and Washington defenses.
Yeah, and I think what you're getting at too is that and they still won 2 of those games.
They won 2 of those games.
Yeah, and Indiana is one of, if not the best team in the country on paper right now. So it's, yeah, that makes sense that as good as Oregon, you're right, as good as Oregon is, they still can run into people that can slow them down.
So I would compare and contrast that with their top 3 defenses faced, averaged out to an SP Plus rating of almost 7. Texas Tech defense, SP Plus rating, Michael, is 3rd. It's better than Indiana, the average of Indiana, Iowa, Washington. I averaged it out not to bring that average down, but to not cherry pick one game. 3 seemed like a good number because there was a pretty good drop off between 3 and 4 for both teams. So 3 made sense. All right. Texas Tech offense. They are the 2nd SP Plus rated offense. They scored 42.5 points per game, putting up 289 passing yards and 191 rushing yards. Versus their top 3 SP Plus defenses were Utah, BYU in November, BYU and the Big 12 championship game. Those defense SP Plus ratings averaged out to just over 21. So you did not face the top end defenses that Oregon did. So caveat there. Your defense or your offensive output went from scoring 42.5 points per game on the season average to just over 32 points per game versus these top 3 defenses. You put up 40 fewer passing yards and almost 20 fewer rushing yards. So your offensive output was less significantly impacted by the top 3 defenses as Oregon's was.
Right,
Now,
which kind of skews to what you already stated, is that the three defenses Texas Tech faced were average of 21, and the top three that Oregon faced were an average of 7 roughly.
yes.
So that tracks. That makes sense.
The Oregon defense SP plus rating is a 6. So it will be a step up. The highest rated SP plus defense Texas Tech faced this year was Utah, and they were 10. So imagine your offensive output versus Utah in this matchup, I guess. Okay. Now, defensively, I think this is where it's even more interesting. Oregon, defensively, their top 3 offenses faced were Indiana, USC, and Penn State. The 3 of those averaged out to an 11 in terms of SP plus. They went from giving up 16 points per game to 27 points per game. The Ducks were giving up 27 points per game against a 11th ranked SP plus offense. They went from giving up 158 passing yards to 227 passing yards. Rushing yards still went down because USC does not run the ball, but they went from 113 rushing yards to 101 rushing yards. So their defense versus a top 10-ish offense gave up 11 more points per game, 70 more yards through the air, and roughly about the same, minus 12 yards on the ground. Texas Tech, remember, offensively is a 2, not an 11. Scoring 42 points per game. Oregon gives up 27 points per game against these top offenses. Texas Tech, their defense, SP plus rating was a 3. Again, the same top 3 teams, Utah, BYU. They average out to just under a 19 in terms of SP plus. The points per game actually went down. On the season, Texas Tech gave up 10.9 points per game. Against the top 3 offenses they faced, they gave up 8 points per game. Their passing yards surrendered goes down by 25 passing yards. The only statistical category that went up when they faced the best offenses was they gave up 8 more rushing yards per game. 69 yards to 77 yards. And that was Utah that carried that, because I think BYU was in the 60s, both of those games. So the Texas Tech defense against the top-rated offenses they've seen were as good, if not better, than they've seen all season. Oregon, you can say theirs was a little bit tougher competition, SP plus 11 versus SP plus 18, 19. But Oregon gave up 11 more points per game. Texas Tech gave up almost 3 fewer points per game.
I do like that. That does make me feel a little bit more confident. The other ones are, you could kind of talk yourself into either thing, but that does, it's almost like when, so far, for the most part, when Tech is faced with a better offense, they ratchet it up even more on defense.
Somehow, yeah, the Texas Tech defense gets better against a better offense. Now, this is talking about points given up and yards. Those two things aren't, exactly.
There's caveats and everything.
Yeah, but just there was that. So if you get a bunch of Oregon fans, if you're still getting into the back and forth on online somewhere, and they want to just make you believe that Oregon is tested for this and Texas Tech isn't, sure, their strength of schedule is slightly better. Strength of record is even more or even less significantly better than Texas Tech's. But when their defense was faced with good offense, significantly different. When their offense was faced with a good defense, significantly worse. Like there is a huge change in their outputs when they face their top 3 teams. Again, they were scoring 39 points per game against the top 3 defenses. Indiana's pretty close to Texas Tech's here. That's what brought their average up. But they give up Oregon scored 18 fewer points per game. If you hold Oregon to 20 points on Thursday, I feel very confident you're winning that game. Oregon, against the top 3 offenses they faced, gave up almost 30. They are almost a touchdown difference in games where they face their top offenses and defenses, none of which come close to matching Texas Tech's numbers. So, the Ducks on offense, led by Dante Moore. We all know him, heard about him. Supremely accurate. He's completing 72.5% of his passes, just over 3,000 yards in the season, 28 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. Going into last week's matchup against James Madison, he was 10 touchdowns to 5 interceptions over his last 7 games, whereas he started out 14 touchdowns to 1 interception. On the ground, got a pretty talented running back group here. In the aggregate, you don't have their number 1 guy, Noah Whittington, doesn't have the same output that Cameron Dickey has. But between the 3 of them, Noah Whittington, Jordan Davison, and De'Aaron Hill, they are combining for 270 carries-ish and about 2,000 rushing yards and 24 rushing touchdowns. So they are very heavily, it's a pretty good balance between 3,000 yards through the air and about 2,000 yards on the ground.
Well, and it almost at 6, 7, 8. Oops, sorry. My daughter would have loved that. 6 to 8 yards per carry too on these guys.
Yeah, Whittington's averaging just under 7 yards per carry. Jordan Davison is 6.5. De'Aaron Hill 8.5.
Whew.
Now, through the air, Malik Benson is our number 1 receiver in terms of yards. 36 catches on the year, 645 yards, almost 18 yards per reception, 6 touchdowns. Tight end, everybody's going to be talking about him, Kenyon Sadiq. He's leading the team in catches with 42, 509 yards, 12.1 yards per catch, and 8 touchdowns. You know what those numbers sound a lot like, Michael? Terrence Carter Jr.
The man, TC.
Kenyon Sadiq, 42 catches, 509 yards. Terrence Carter, 46 catches, 550 yards, 5 touchdowns. Again, they want to talk about how Sadiq is this big matchup problem, and he's this ultra athletic tight end. Yeah, I'm sure he is. Texas Tech is very familiar with facing a tight end like that because they go against them every day in practice.
Yes.
Wide receiver number 3, Jeremiah McClellan, 31 catches, 480 yards, 15.5 yards per catch, 3 touchdowns. Their drop-off, your number 1 receiver, Caleb Douglas, 54 catches, 850 yards, 7 touchdowns. They don't have that guy. Their Malik Benson is more like your Coy Aiken, who's your number 3 guy. So CD and Reggie Virgil both outperform their number 1 guy. Your number 3 is about on pace with their number 1. Your tight ends are about the same. Their running back production is split between 3 guys, where yours is split between 2. Now, they are expecting to get DeCorian Moore back. He's been out for a few weeks with an injury, 29 catches, 448 yards, and 3 touchdowns before he was sidelined, I think, back in October. And then Gary Bryant Jr., 25 catches, another 300 yards, and 4 touchdowns. So they spread it out between a bunch of different guys. They are, however, not a great red zone offense. Where have we heard this before? They are the 69th best red zone offense. They do convert 87% of their trips into points, but only 68% of those are touchdowns. Texas Tech is the number 52 red zone defense in terms of conversion percentage into points. It's 82%. However, Texas Tech has only faced 22 red zone attempts in the season. Michael, that is good for first in the country in terms of fewest number of red zone trips allowed.
Well, you know, where have we heard this before? It's not a problem anymore. Texas Tech has no red zone issues. They're all fixed.
Yeah.
But so that's where we, vaguely might remember an issue that came up in November, but it's gone now.
Yeah. As a unit, the Red River defense, third in scoring in the country at just under 11 points per game. That number continues to tick downwards after the Big 12 title game. You're at 10.92 points per game. You have racked up 39 sacks on the season. That's good for 6th in the country. 65 hurries, 96 tackles for loss. That's also 6th in the country. You've caught 16 interceptions, returning one of those for a pick 6, forced 15 fumbles and recovered 22. You are first in the country in turnovers gained at 31, and you are plus 17 in turnover margin, which is number 2 in the country. Again, those Oregon Duck fans that will tell you about how good their defense is in turning their opponents over, Michael, let me jump ahead a little bit. They have 13 interceptions on the season. You have 16. They do have 3 pick 6s. They do have a ridiculous number of passes batted down, 66. I believe that's first. 51 hurries to your 65. They've forced 4 fumbles. Jacob Rodriguez has almost forced twice as many.
Yep.
And they've recovered 9, where you've recovered 22. They are plus in the turnover margin because they don't turn the ball over very much, but it's pretty close to even, if I remember correctly. No, not even, but it's a lot more. What is it? 22 turnovers to, I don't know. I don't have their margin number off the top of my head, but it's not plus 17. Texas Tech has still only allowed 5 explosive runs on the season of 20 or more yards. We didn't have the stats pulled up we didn't go through it. Big 12 title game, you gave up 4 rushes of 10 or more yards. It was a 10, 2 11s, and a 13. That 13-yard rush, Michael, was with 4 minutes left in the game. You still remain number 1 as the number 1 rated defense according to stop rate. Ohio State and Indiana are 2 and 3. If you want to look at the counting stats and measurements, Texas Tech gives up 186 passing yards per game, 5.4 yards per attempt, 69 yards on the ground at 2.3 yards per carry. Teams can only convert 30.5% of their third down attempts, giving up 10.9 points per game. Oregon, when they have the ball, 252 passing yards at 9 yards per attempt, 217 yards on the ground at 5.9 yards per carry. Definitely a strength of their offense, of their team, is going to be their ground game. 217 at almost 6 yards per carry. They convert 48.5% of their third down attempts and score 39.2 points per game. The other thing that they will like to tell you about, Michael, is just how explosive the Oregon offense is. Texas Tech is like neck and neck in terms of number of explosive plays next to Oregon, but they don't mention that. They will not. They won't say it's like two explosive offenses. No, it's the Oregon explosive offense versus the Texas Tech defense. Well, it's going to be the explosive offenses from both sides, and then which offense is able to find success or which defense is able to slow the other one down. Defensively, they are the number 6 SP plus defense versus the number 2 Texas Tech offense. Dan Lanning, obviously, we talked about this a couple years ago. Part of the Nick Saban coaching tree. They run a multiple defense, but depending on their personnel, what they're going up against, it could be a tight front, which would be a more of a 3-4 look, where your defensive ends are going to be lined up on the inside of your tackles. You're going to have 4 linebackers with 2 outside linebackers. But they also can kind of shift into what I've seen referred to as a mint defense, which is more of a 4-2-5 look, with Dylan Thieneman being that third safety. And they use a lot of man coverage, which is somehow then called a cover 7. I don't fully understand the terminology there, but it's a 4-2-5 front, 3 safeties, not doing a 3 high cloud type of 3 safety, but man. As a unit, they have 25 sacks. That is 14 fewer than Texas Tech. They are led by linebacker Tatum Tuioti, who has 7.5, and Mateo Ugalele with 5. They have 62 tackles for loss. As a reminder, Texas Tech has 96. They have forced 13 interceptions, 3 pick sixes. Their pass defense is the strength of their defense, which gives me a little pause. We've had some complaints. I've had some complaints about Baron Morton and his passing, but this is going to be a game where we're going to see a lot of people clamoring for Texas Tech to run the dang ball. Not that the Oregon defense is particularly susceptible to the run, but I think of the two, you've got a better matchup there. But especially once they get into the red zone, Michael, we talked about Texas Tech offense. This is one of those movable objects, stoppable forces. They are the number 121 red zone defense in allowing red zone trips into points at 90%. Now, they've faced 30 red zone trips, so it's a low number of trips. Texas Tech is at first with 22, but they've given up 21 touchdowns and 30 attempts with 6 field goals. Tackling, they're led by Bryce Betcher, who has 113 tackles. Jacob Rodriguez is right along there. Those numbers are well. I think he has 117. Dylan Thieneman, defensive back, safety. I believe he's a third safety, more of that hybrid guy that will play more towards the line of scrimmage. Think of like a John Curry, but a defensive back build more than a linebacker build. 74 tackles. Defensive back Aaron Flowers at 61, and then their linebacker Tuioti has 60. Texas Tech offense, number 2 scoring offense in the country, 42.5 points per game, led by Morton, who's completing 67% of his passes, 2,600 passing yards, almost 9 yards per attempt, 13 yards per completion, 22 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. On the ground, you've got Cam Dickey up there with almost 200 carries. He will cross that this game. He's got 198, 1,095 yards on the ground, 5.5 yards per carry, 14 rushing touchdowns. He adds another 24 touches, receptions through the year for 216 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he's got 222 total touches, 1,311 yards, 16 touchdowns, and almost 6 yards per touch. So we talked about their running back room, Noah Whittington having 116 carries and 820 yards and almost 7 yards per carry. That's pretty similar to Cam Dickey. He's getting 1 more yard per touch. I'm including his receptions here, but he's got 16 touchdowns to Whittington's 6. And then obviously next to Dickey, you've got Jacoby Williams, who's got 142 carries in the season, 787 yards, 5.5 yards per carry, and 6 touchdowns. That's both of those numbers. Well, Jacoby Williams as a pure running back runner is pretty close to their number 1 running back, Noah Whittington. Whittington's got 116 carries. Jacoby Williams has 142. Williams has 787 yards. Whittington has 820. So he's ahead of Williams by 30 rushing yards on 26 fewer carries. So his yards per carry is up, even on touchdowns. Williams is also very dangerous and explosive through the air, 30 receptions, 370 yards, 2 touchdowns. So he is he's got 172 touches this season for 1,158 yards, 8 touchdowns at almost 7 yards per touch. Again, get your running backs involved. We talked about the receivers. CD, 54 catches, 850 yards, 7 touchdowns. Virgil, 55 catches, 676 yards, 6 touchdowns, plus 2 more rushing touchdowns. Coy Aiken, 47 catches, 626 yards, 6 touchdowns. Terrence Carter, 46 catches, 550 for 5 touchdowns. And we already talked about Jacoby. So, as a unit, the Raiders throw for 289 yards per game at 8.3 yards per attempt, 191 yards on the ground at almost 5 yards per carry. They're converting 50.5% of their third down attempts, scoring 42.5 points. Defensively, the Ducks are only giving up 158 yards through the air at 5.5 yards per attempt. If those numbers sound familiar, they are very similar to Texas Tech pass defense. Texas Tech gives up 186 yards at 5.4 yards per attempt. The yards per attempt and the total yards there would indicate that Texas Tech defensive faces a heck of a lot more passing attempts than Oregon does. And of course, because you're ahead for so much of these games. The Ducks are giving up 113 yards on the ground at 3.4 yards per carry. 35.5% third down conversions are successful against the Duck defense, and opponents score 16.5 points per game. Anything to add talking about the numbers, Michael? Did we lose Michael?
No, I was
okay.
I was muted like a jackass. So no,
I was on different tabs. I couldn't even see you talking. So
no, you're fine. You're fine. I was what these numbers did was make me a little bit more confident in some areas and a little bit less confident in others. And I may save most of that for the pick when it comes time to pick.
All right. I haven't done a comparison of the CFB advanced stats, CFB graphs, matchups, advanced stats previews, and how accurate or how close these are. But after the first round matchup with JMU, I pulled the updated graph. I checked it again today. This has Texas Tech win probability at 59%, 59-41 split between Texas Tech and the Oregon Ducks. Texas Tech projected to score 26 points while giving up 21. So about a 5-point favorite here. Betting numbers indicate Texas Tech is A 2.5-point underdog, 51.5 points on the total. If it matters to you, Michael, the season performance against the spread, Texas Tech is 12-1, whereas Oregon is 8-5.
Well, that would kind of, seeing the spread. We're not used to seeing the spread and the advanced stats preview being that far off.
Yeah, that's a touchdown difference.
Yeah. With Tech being predicted to win by 5 and then being given 2.5 on the betting line. So that is kind of interesting. So that there could be something there. There could be something to the success of putting your money on Texas Tech against the spread versus Oregon in the past year.
The ESPN matchup has this one as a slight Texas Tech favorite, 51.6. Hold on. 51.6 to 48.4.
It's gonna be a nail biter. That's what I've got. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first on the pick?
I'll let you go first this time.
Okay. So to get back to what you touched on a lot there with the numbers and how we look comparatively, where I'm coming from is we have to lean on the defense here. I think that's what I feel the most confident in, despite how good Oregon is and how much those running backs do worry me. Their offense as a whole, what was it they were doing? They're rushing 6 yards per carry as an entire offense. And then the 3 running backs that you pulled out, Whittington 6.9, Davison's 6.4, Hill Jr. is 8.6. And these aren't guys with like 4 carries. Hill Jr. has the least with 65. So these are guys who are doing it over and over and over and almost moving the chains almost every time they touch the ball. So that does worry me. Tech only allowing 2.3 yards per carry. That's great. But I don't think we've seen a rushing attack like this year. And as great as Moore is, and Benson and Sadiq and all these guys, I think the running backs worry me a little bit more. The other thing that worries me too is making sure Texas Tech is able to get pressure to Moore. I'm not saying I'm not confident in Tech's secondary, but I'm more confident in our line getting pressure than I am just letting Moore sit back there and have all day to pick us apart. Because that other number jumped out to me quite a bit too. 9 yards per pass attempt. Tech's getting 8.3 on offense, which is nothing to sneeze at. But yeah, Oregon's getting 9. So yeah, a lot of this has kind of gotten me back and forth. I knew I was going to be this way already, but a couple of things that make me feel better was Texas Tech could and should hopefully be able to take advantage in the red zone on offense, even if they decide to go, even if they allow Stone Harrington on the bus and bring him, they should be able to get some points there, especially with what we've seen. And the other thing that I'm going to lean on too here with our defense is how disruptive they are and how many turnovers they create against teams that typically aren't turnover machines. Mm-hmm. These guys will find ways to get the ball. And I think that's a high possibility here that we get to see that again. We get to see J-Rod create a fumble or get some great interceptions by him or any of the other, mustachioed linebackers back there, or, strip sack, that sort of thing. I think we're going to be able to count on at least a couple of those that Oregon probably wouldn't typically give up, but it's because they haven't faced this team. And all that to say, I'm coming back around to just being excited again. As kind of worried as I am about the running backs, I'm excited to see these running backs face off. I'm excited to see Dickey get out there and Williams, see what they can do. The Carter versus Sadiq tight end matchup is really intriguing. I hope that well, I don't know if I hope Sadiq gets the ball a lot, but I hope Carter does, or at least gets the ball thrown his way and gets a chance to really shine. So I'm still going to pick Tech to win. I have to. There's just no way I'm not going to pick Tech to win. The question is just how do they do it? I don't know. It seems crazy to say that Tech's going to score 30 on this defense, but I feel like that's what's got to happen. I've got Tech winning 30-27. That would obviously have Tech covering because they're the dog, but and that would be hitting the over by a few points, not a whole lot. The over under was 51.5. But that's where I'm at. I think there's no way I'm not going to pick them to win. I don't care if it was, Oregon minus 11.5. I'd probably still pick Tech at this point just because of the season and because of this defense I've seen just completely control a game against multiple good teams that scored 40 something the week before or whatever, and then roll into Lubbock and score 11, that type of stuff. So I think the defense is where I'm hanging my hat. I am very concerned with the Oregon offense, and I'm concerned with their defense too, because I don't think that Tech has played a defense of this caliber this season by any stretch. And Morton has had his moments. He's had some really good games, but he's also had some games that were just kind of okay. But I'm glad to see that he is healing. I don't know if I'd ever say he's healed, because I'm not sure how you completely heal from a fracture like that. But there's a lot to worry about in this game, but I'm still picking Tech 30-27. There you go.
I did see a self-reported Morton say he's at 80 to 85%.
What's he been at before?
He said after the Big 12 title game, he's like 70-75%. So he's as good as it's been since it's been injured, but
he's throwing bombs then. Just dimes, 40-yard dimes to everybody in stride.
So I want to look at I'm going to go back to the SP Plus matrix that I kind of put together. And I wasn't trying to cook these numbers. I wasn't trying to cherry pick and give Texas Tech the most beneficial here. But I look at how the Oregon offense was stymied against their top 3 defenses. And they legitimately, in a 2-1 record against these, only put up 20 points. 21 points. Whereas when they faced off against their top 3 offenses, they were giving up 27. Those numbers would indicate that if Texas Tech is taking care of the ball and whatever, not overthinking things and not getting in their own way or all that kind of stuff, should have opportunity here to defeat Oregon. I think it's going to be a lot. I really do think it's going to look a lot like the Utah game. Dante Moore is a better quarterback than Dampier. They have better skill guys around him. So I don't think if Texas Tech wins this one, it's not going to be a 24-point margin, how you rolled late against the Utes. I do think the winner of this game is going to have a late defensive stand that's going to do it for him. Not that this is going to be a shootout back and forth. It's going to be a close game where every possession is going to matter. And I can't, like you, I can't not pick the Red Raiders. I'm taking Texas Tech to win this one a little bit closer, a little bit more, well, same margin, but a little bit lower scoring. I'm going to go 23-20. Now, that means Texas Tech is kicking 3 field goals, and scoring 2 touchdowns. But that also means you're holding Oregon to just 2 field goals and 2 touchdowns. So I've got Texas Tech winning this one, a close one. I absolutely can see how this game could go either way. I'm as nervous and my confidence level is as low as it's been all season, except for maybe Utah. And I don't want to say, well, you won by 24 points. You know, it should be fine. Like there were other points in the season where I was nervous, but like, I mean, I was most nervous against BYU the second time because of what it meant. And similarly here, what this game could mean for Texas Tech, but as close of a matchup as you could have. Obviously, you get a 4-5. I mean, these two teams are very similar. So we'll see. We'll see Thursday. And I haven't talked to Michael, but I'm sure we'll be back for an instant reaction then or shortly after the game, whenever it works out that we can come back together. But I do want to say this, though, Michael, and I don't want to, like, if this season were to end on Thursday, it would not be a failure. I may be steaming hot, screaming at the microphone, so fired up about why we lost and how we shouldn't have lost. But if Texas Tech's season were to end on Thursday, it would not have been a failure. Obviously, I would love and I would expect this team to be competitive and to win and to move on. But this is not a national title or bust type of season for me. It's been unbelievable. I don't want it to end. Never will. It will always be too soon to end. But I just wanted to throw that out there. It's been incredible.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't feel like I want more. I definitely want more. I don't want to just be like, hey, we made the CFP, pat yourself on the back. Whatever happens now happens. No. Let's win the damn games. Let's win 3 more. That's what I want. But yes, I as you said, if there's like some fake field goal or bobbled snap or whatever that cost the game at the end, or just some crazy call, or just anything that would ruffle anyone's feathers, I may not feel that same way at, roughly 3 p.m. on New Year's Day. But
Bellenfant doinks one off and up, right?
Right? Yeah. somehow he's still there. But anyway, I'm with you. I'm right there with you. This has been incredible. Getting to the Big 12 championship was incredible on its own. Winning the thing and winning it so soundly against a team that just beat 12 other teams in the not named Texas Tech. I mean, just it still feels surreal. I think I'll finally be able to fully process this season maybe in June. I think June would probably be about the first time I'll really be able to just sit down and go, man, wow. Well, that was a heck of a thing, wasn't it? Let's talk about it. Yeah, it doesn't matter that I'm on a podcast with you for an hour and a half, 2 hours every week. I'm still not processing it. I'm just talking. That's all I'm doing.
Well, and if you dare to believe, the next round matchup in the Peach Bowl would be against the winner of Indiana and Alabama.
That is true. And they play immediately after Texas Tech and Oregon.
Yeah, I may not watch a second of that game, depending. Well, I guess regardless of how the Texas Tech game goes, I may be like so amped up. I'm like, I can't sit still. I can't watch it. Or I'm like, I'm disgusted with college football and I don't want to turn it on.
Sport is the worst. The sport is the worst. Yeah.
Which sounds ridiculous, but like I legitimately
where you live,
out there
no.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
All right. Let's talk basketball, Michael, because as much as we've been just locked in on football, things are happening basketball wise. Since we recorded, you knocked off Duke and you
Yeah.
wrapped up your non-conference slate with a big victory over Winthrop on Sunday. Man.
Yeah, Red Raiders they're 10-3. They've jumped up in the polls a little bit. They went from 19 to 15. I mean, that Duke game was just insane. The way that Christian Anderson just decided to be that man, especially in the second half. Being down 10 and coming out winning by 1 in the way they did, without it just being Toppin or bust. Lawan Watts gets in there. He's 10 of 17 on the night. Didn't make a 3, but oh well. He had 20 points in 27 minutes. And Anderson, like we said, just can't talk enough about what he was able to do. 5 of 9 from 3. I don't know if he made one in the first half. Maybe he made one. 9 of 14. Played every minute of the game. 27 points. 3 steals. 5 assists. Yeah, Toppin down here. I don't want to bury the lead here or bury him. 32 minutes. Nice little double on the night of his own. But the obvious plan there was to try to double him and get him frustrated and create turnovers. And he had a couple, but really not much compared to how they were just forcing their guys to trap him pretty much every possession, or at least do that kind of false double team where they send a guy down from the elbow but then he's able to kick it to somebody who's open. So anyway, just those 3 guys. Watts has just had an incredible run these last few games. I did not expect this to happen. I think it was because I don't think we deserve too many nice things. I think it's a victim mentality I have sometimes as a Tech fan. You're talking about just winning the Big 12 championship, and Tech basketball had lost recently and in a pretty rough one, and you're just thinking, you know what? Okay, that's fine. We'll have a decent. We'll go 9-9 in the Big 12 or 10-8 or something. Maybe it'll be fine. And then they go to MSG and take down Duke with more than just one player doing it.
Yeah. Previously undefeated. Their schedule, they had defeated Texas, Western Carolina, Army, Indiana State, 24th ranked Kansas by 8, Niagara, Howard. They beat 22nd ranked Arkansas by 9. They beat 15th ranked Florida by 1, 7th ranked at Michigan State by 6. They beat Lipscomb, and then they fell to Texas Tech. And they have to sit on this one for a while. Their next game is Wednesday. So Texas Tech was their final non-conference game before they hit ACC play. They started off with Georgia Tech, but man.
Yeah, and the whole time I was, looking at that game, and Tech just seemed so small on the court, but Tech out-rebounded them. Now, it was by 1.
Still,
but they did.
It's not nothing.
Yeah, but they did. I mean, you see Boozer out there. He's a giant athletic human. And, of course, he had 8 rebounds on his own, but as a team, Duke had 6 offensive and 23 defensive rebounds. Tech had 7 offensive rebounds, but also 23 defensive boards. So just seeing the way they played and how scrappy they were, I was just really impressed with that game. That was just a gritty, gutsy, crazy win that I did not see coming. Even a few minutes into the second half, you start to kind of think, well, you do that high pitch thing. Might make a game out of this. I don't want to say anything. Anderson's getting kind of hot. Yeah, I don't know. And then
you're down 17 in the second half against an undefeated Duke. What were they ranked at that time? I don't remember. They were
7 or 8, maybe.
Yeah,
they were up there.
Yeah, and then they finished up their non-conference slate this past weekend yesterday versus Winthrop. A very offensively skilled team. You held them to 21 points, but you had I don't remember the number. Was it a 34-point run?
It's something like that. Just
in the
maybe
first
not to
half?
start off, but it was in the first half. Yeah.
Let me look it up real quick. You got to 7-2, 9-2, 11-4, 11-4. Let me scroll through this. Yeah, you went from 11-4 to 35-4. Sorry. Yeah. A 24-point run before they scored any more points. It was a 3-pointer. So it went 35-4, 35-7, and then you responded immediately with a 3-pointer from Donovan Atwell. And then you ended up finishing the first half. Let me get back up to the top. 59-21. A little bit of a slowdown there in the second half. You were outscored 36-28 in the second half. But it was man, that the start to that game was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Anderson finishes with 29 points. Jalen Petty finishes with 20. Atwell and Toppin had 14 each. It looks like Petty may be moving his way into the starting rotation at a more regular spot there, pushing out or edging out. Oh my gosh, I'm the worst at this. Just don't ever ask me to think about somebody's name. What's his name? Why can't I think of the guy's name?
Sorry, I was looking up something else. Not helpful, I know.
Tyree Bryan. There it is. We've seen his participation in his minutes, his output been turning down. Now it looks to be Petty coming in to take over that spot. Does really, I wouldn't say limit you, but like it even further highlights a size disparity here when Petty's in at a 6'1", 170. It's a very, very different body type on the floor than a 6'5", 220 Tyree Bryan. So you saw that to contend with. But this team is maybe starting to get some pieces figured out and moving to great time as you're now looking at conference play. Why is Chrome not working for me? Okay. Oklahoma State on Saturday, 11-1 Cowboys on ESPN2 tip off at noon. And then you're on the road at number 8 Houston, 8 p.m. Tuesday, January 6th, FS1.
Yeah, that's a huge game, and Oklahoma State's getting some love in the AP poll. They received a single vote, so they're outside looking in. But 11-1. I haven't analyzed their schedule or anything, but this time of year, that's still generally kind of tough to do. But yeah, now that it's starting to get into the Big 12 conference, we're really going to see where this is going to go with how tough that conference is and every single night. But man, I am going to be pretty excited to watch them go to Houston that Tuesday and see, what kind of game they're able to put together there.
Yeah, I don't have matchups and previews for all this just yet. I just know that the top end of the Big 12, man, it's something else. Arizona still hanging in there at number 1. Iowa State dropped 1 spot to 3. Houston at 8. BYU 10. And Texas Tech 15. Kansas at 17. Arizona State, Baylor, Oklahoma State, like you mentioned, and UCF all receiving votes in the AP Top 25.
Yeah, that's 10 teams getting mentioned.
Yep.
Sorry about you, West Virginia, but that's pretty good. Are you prepared to tell your friends about a 14-0 Lady Raider team?
Man, I just add it to the list of talking points that
Oh my
I'll
gosh.
just rattle off at somebody when they mention that I'm wearing Texas Tech something or another. Hey, did you know about this? Did you know about the Lady Raiders are undefeated?
Did you know that we're the only university in the country that has a team in the college football playoff and 2 ranked basketball teams? Did you know that? Do you tell people that all the time? If I
It's on
rode
my
the
list.
subway, if I rode the subway in Lubbock, Texas, this is what I would tell people. But yeah, so Lady Raiders took care of Jacksonville Wednesday, December 17th, 76-40. Danae Fritz unfortunately missed a free throw when the score was 66 to something. The kids in attendance were all going to go nuts to get that 6-7 up on the board, but it wasn't meant to be. But what was meant to be was the following Sunday, heading down to number 15 Baylor and beating Baylor for the first time in, I think it was 31 matchups, Spencer, at least in Waco. It went back to the, I don't know how far it went back, but it went back a long ways.
Mm-hmm.
The last time that they won in Waco, kind of like that Tech men's basketball awful streak in Austin. I think that was a really bad stretch for a while. But anyway, number 15 Baylor went down 61-60, kind of, I don't want to say similar fashion to Duke because the Lady Raiders were in it pretty much the entire game. It wasn't ever like they were down by 17 at some point or something like that, but it did just come down to the last final, few seconds. And this was really a collaborative effort. Well, almost. The starters just weren't having a great day. Maupin was 1 of 6 from 3. Bristow was 2 of 7. None of the starters except Maupin had double digits, and she got in foul trouble early. So she had 4 fouls. She was playing with 4 at the end of the game. Sonogo was playing with 4. But Snutta Collins, man, 21 points off the bench. Perfect from the line. 8 of 8 from the charity stripe. She only shot 2 threes, but made 1 of them. She was 6 of 12 on her field goals. Shot 50% on the day. 21 points off the bench. Jada Malone off the bench, 8 points. 4 of 5 field goals for her. 3 rebounds. I mean, Malone and Collins are just, Tech is lucky to have them coming off the bench. And I still think that must just be where they're most comfortable or where Coach Gerlich thinks that they're most productive. But whatever she thinks, it's right. It's working. So 29 points off the bench and a 61-point win. You will absolutely take it. Fritz had a rough day. She was 0 of 6 from the field. She only had 2 points. They were free throws. But in a game like that where your starters just struggled and you had Collins particularly, but Collins and Malone both come off the bench and really carry the team. Now the starters were still playing defense. They were doing great in that respect. 3 steals for Maupin, 3 blocks for Sonogo, 2 steals for Nunez, and 2 for Fritz. So they were still active out there on defense, and that's kind of been their calling card this year. But that was just a lot of fun to see them get that kind of signature win, and then get them into the top 25, which was where I started. Texas Tech entered the top 25 last week at number 21. That is the first time they've been in the top 25 since 2012. It's been a minute. So among them in the Big 12 is number 8 TCU, number 10 Iowa State, and Baylor went from 15 to 22 after losing to the Lady Raiders. Receiving votes are Oklahoma State, Arizona State, and BYU. And so Texas Tech's first 3 games in the Big 12, you don't want to count hypotheticals. You don't want to look ahead. You don't want to do any of that stuff. But those 6 teams I mentioned, other than Texas Tech, that are kind of in the AP poll, kind of in the national spotlight, their first 3 conference opponents are not. So Texas Tech has a chance to build on this 14-0 start, this 1-0 conference start. Starting Wednesday versus UCF on New Year's Eve, they will play at 6 p.m. That's on ESPN Plus. Saturday, they will play Arizona. Arizona is a 9-3 team with 1 conference loss. UCF is 8-4 with a conference loss. And so that Saturday game versus Arizona will be at 6 p.m. ESPN Plus as well. And then Wednesday, the following week, they will play at West Virginia at 6 p.m. So they theoretically have a chance to have, at least 2 more wins in these next 3 games, hopefully, and possibly all 3. But we're going to be there on New Year's Eve for the UCF game. That seems like a lot of fun. I bet the stadium's going to be rocking a little bit more than normal, a little bit more than it has been. I'm sure I'll still be able to find 3 seats in the GA section, but it would be cool if someday that's hard to do. So it sounds like a great way to spend the new year. Ring in the new year with the Lady Raiders at 6:00 on Wednesday. And then I think we're going to make it to the Saturday game as well versus Arizona. My mom's been dying to go to a game this year. It just we haven't found a good time. And I think that's the one I'm going to try to take her to.
That sounds awesome. I told you when we were in town that we tried to see if there was any games on schedule we could attend while we were in Lubbock, but
it was shut down, man. Yeah. Everything around here was shut down.
With the schedule, how it worked out, I had a couple of places that I wanted to go eat, and they were closed. I wanted to go hit up Cap Rock or Orlando's, and I had lots of Taco Villa and
there you go.
Chipotle. Had lots of Mexican food. We tried to limit Whataburgers. We got Whataburger everywhere down here.
Yeah, you
boys. Anyways, yeah, that's man, there's just so much going on, and it's hard to even like wrap your mind around like Texas Tech playing meaningful football and not like getting ready for an exhibition bowl game, but like something that's actually something at the same time as your basketball teams either starting or getting ready to start conference play. It's all happening, man. Transfer portal is going to be nuts. I can't wait. Can't decide if I'm going to break down and purchase a subscription somewhere to keep up with everything, or just be like hounding my brother for updates every few seconds. But yeah, what do you say we wrap up with? What do we learn?
That sounds good.
All right, man. I will only add that it's been a hot minute since I've traveled on a bad travel day around a holiday. Driving back from Dallas to Corpus on Sunday following Christmas was a nightmare. Probably contributing factor that it was on 35 for, 4.5 hours, 4 hours of that trip from Dallas down to San Antonio. Drove through Waco, got to see the Baño and the Brazos, showed that to Samantha, looked across the highway. There was the Farrell Center where they play their basketball. Only because we were stuck in traffic there for so long. We literally could have walked to both and the car not moved. 35 sucks, man. It still sucks, always sucks. Those in Dallas know will always suck. It took us, let's see, took us almost 8 hours to drive what should have been 6. And we didn't stop a bunch. We didn't get out to go to the bathroom or stretch our legs or get gas. Like, we got gas and drinks when we left, like basically right as we hit. We stopped in, I guess it would have been Georgetown for dinner. So we made it almost to Austin, but at that point had already been 4.5 hours, and we should have been through Austin at 4.5 hours. 4.5 hours, like we should have been to San Antonio. We were so delayed, and it just reminded me what I learned. Driving around the holidays sucks. Grateful that we were coming back. We just had the one child in the car, so the 3, so they weren't like feeding off of each other. She did really great. Our youngest is a trooper in the car. When she gets bored, she's not like screaming and crying. She's singing very, very loudly, which is something we can handle. And, as a 2.5-year-old, her repertoire is very limited. She's been listening to a lot of Frozen lately, and it's one line. It's for the first time in forever. So it's that line to that tune, but just on repeat at the top of her lungs. It's cute. Could be worse.
Yes, could be worse. I was going to ask you, how is it just having the one kid right now? Just having your 2.5-year-old little girl around the house, and the boys are Mimi. Is that right?
Yeah, went to my mom's house, or staying with my mom. I actually mentioned this to Samantha. We stopped at dinner on the way home and grabbed dinner. I was feeling Chinese. I was like, I want to do Chinese with you. It's probably easiest to do this while, with a small group. And I was sitting there, and I was just kind of reflecting, like, I mean this in the nicest possible way to our sons, but like I kind of miss having a small group, like the 3 of us. Our youngest, old enough, super independent, wants to feed herself. And what she loves at these restaurants is the onion soup and fried rice. So she like things that have high mess potential.
Sure.
Right. And she has to do it herself. I was thinking, and I guess just more projecting, as like, if she was doing what she was doing, but we also had the 2 boys there, it would have driven me crazy. Not that what she was doing was anything wrong, or that like I could just somehow it was just, I don't know. I was talking about, like, it was just so different with just the 1 versus the 3 of them. So we're working on trying to figure out how to manage our capacity and give the best attention and resources to our children, and be present with them in ways that's, productive. But yeah, she was super cute at dinner tonight. She was feeding herself. She wanted fries, and luckily this place had a like an appetizer of like chicken nuggets, which reminded, like, the chicken nuggets of this Hibachi Express restaurant, very, very similar to Wendy's nuggets. So I was like, wonder where your supplier also goes. She didn't end up eating the chicken. She had most of the fries. We split an order of chicken lo mein and steak hibachi. She ate a couple bites of the lo mein noodles, pounded 90% of the fried rice, and then one of the bowls of soup.
To this day, the only noodles my daughter will eat is lo mein or something like that. She just wants nothing to do with spaghetti, macaroni. Nah, she's out on all of it. But any sort of stir-fry noodle, oh yeah,
so good.
Count her in.
she's so good. No, it's been good. It's been a lot quieter. I didn't have such a big fight with kids staying in bed for bedtime during podcast. She's been really great about going to bed, even by herself without the boys here, staying in bed. If Hayden were here, he would have been up walking in the background a few times. He just runs a couple hours later than everybody else.
It's almost got to be a shock to, because I imagine your last week was spent with a lot of family, a lot of kids, crowded houses, great memories, all of these things that are good things. But then once you get away from them, you kind of like, oh wow, I've I can think again. like I feel like I can focus again. And then on top of that, your family of 5 dropped to 3 for a little bit. So it's probably almost like a shock to make that drive back when you've just been surrounded by family this whole time, and then like, oh man, this is different. This is really different.
Yeah. So
I would enjoy it more if 35 wasn't such a cluster.
yeah, so we did Christmas Eve with all of Samantha's family. So sibling Christmas was Christmas Eve with them. I've said this probably several times. She's one of 5 kids. All 5 of them were there with their families. So Samantha's 4th of 5. There's just 5 of us. Her younger brother has 4 kids, so there's 6 of them. Her next oldest sister has 3, so there's 5 of them. So that's up to 16. The next one up was her brother. He only had, well, I say only, he didn't have his biological children. They were with their mom, but he had his stepsons. There's 3 of them. So there's another 5. So that's 21. The oldest, who was hosting everybody, has 4. So that's 6 more. That's 27 plus the 2 grandparents. There's 29 of us.
You could round up to 30.
30 of us. Family Christmas. And it was chaotic. We did we did this sibling gift exchange. We did a white elephant game, and obviously had the big dinner and everything. It was just, with that many kids, man, it's nuts. Ages range. So the oldest of my nephews are sophomore and freshman at Texas Tech. So they're 20 and 19. Down to the youngest, who is 18 months. Almost 20 years difference between all of them. And yeah. So very, to your point, very big shock to the system to go from 30 people together. Now, granted, it was only for a few hours.
Sure.
Down to just the 3 of us. Yeah. And then, so we went to Dallas with my mom, stay with her. My brother and his wife and 3 of their kids all stayed. So there was, my mom has the biggest house of any of the people we're talking about here. But with the, what is that? 5, 10, 11 of us in that house for 24 hours. It was like, it's chaotic because the 3 kids are so close in age. Sorry, the 6 kids.
Probably
so
a lot of, okay, hey, hang on.
Because they all wanted, like, they all had similar demands for attention, and whether they wanted your attention or they were getting into things they shouldn't have been doing, feeding off of each other because, the 2 oldest were doing things.
Yeah, that's how that works.
The 2 middles were getting into trouble hiding under the staircase and the Christmas decoration boxes. The 2 youngest were unwrapping presents that should have been unwrapped. And yeah. Anyways, great time. Enjoying the silence. So.
The one thing I learned, Kenny Perry enjoys a nice sangria.
That does not seem to compute. How does that work?
Well, my wife and I were at Perry's Pizza, oddly enough. Not spelled the same.
Yeah.
As John Coffey would say. Not spelled the same. But we were there. Let's see, we're finishing up the very last of our Christmas and birthday shopping. And it was the night of the James Madison, Oregon game. And so we went into Perry's, and I thought, oh, this will be great. I'll get to, catch the first quarter or something before we go pick up our daughter. She was at my mom's so that we could finish up our shopping. Oh, and they were making their way too many Christmas cookies. My mom makes. I don't know. She swore she cut back this year, but I still think I brought home because I brought home more when I went over there for Christmas Eve. Probably 4 dozen Christmas
Ooh,
cookies, and I'm the
nice.
only one who really likes them, and I do genuinely like them. I really love them. I love the icing that they make. The little sugar cookies. I think they're just like the cheap rollout ones. So I mean, but that doesn't matter. They're still really delicious, and it's the icing that really does it for me. So anyway, I can only eat so many, man. But anyway, they were over there doing that. Well, we just sat at the bar because it was pretty busy, and Kenny Perry and his wife sat right on the corner from us. And I had already told I was like doing that thing where you're just kind of you're glancing, you're looking, you're like, oh my gosh, that's him, that's him.
So,
And then
yeah.
then I was doing the math, like he's gonna sit here and watch the team that they are getting prepped to play in the. This is crazy. This is so cool. And then they moved, and so it just kind of threw me off a little bit because I was gonna not bother the man at all until we left, and I was just gonna give him like a guns up, and that was it. And like as I'm walking out to make it clear that I'm not trying to bother you and your wife, I'm not trying to take a selfie or anything or whatever. Like just a guns up. Hey, rooting for you in Miami, and head out the door. But they moved to a different area of the bar because it was really cold where we were by the door. But anyway, all that to say, he got a sangria. This place has like, I think 150 beers on tap. The man knows what he wants. And they brought it in like the prettiest glass you've ever seen.
I'm sure he loved that.
He did. I mean, it's like they don't even serve it really. It was a bottle of sangria. So the bartender, I missed a lot of it, but the bartender came out and kind of showed him the bottle, like, hey, here's what we have. And he was like, yeah, he gave her the thumbs up. And so yeah, then she just poured that bottle of sangria over ice and put some fruit in there, an orange slice and a couple other things, and it looked really nice, but it's obviously not something that they really do at Perry's Pizzeria. But man, I appreciated that the man was like, you know what? I just want me a dang sangria. That's what I'm gonna get.
I'm a big fan of Perry's. I went with
Me too.
my farewell party with my office / birthday dinner was at Perry's.
We've
summer.
had lunch there.
Mhm.
I think we met Keith there one time.
I think, and Kyle, one of the last times we all got together.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's yeah, we like it too. It's really solid, man. I had the wings that night. They know how to make some wings. Really, really enjoyed that. And then they've got that jalapeno artichoke dip. I think we get that every time we go. But anyway,
Okay.
That's it. That's what I learned. Kenny Perry likes a nice sangria when he's out watching tape.
All right, we just hit 2 hours, but
Yes. Sorry.
last question. No, last question. New Year's Eve plans. You got any? What's on your menu? What's your go-to? Whether or not you stay up to midnight or not, I don't really. I don't care about that so much. But like, do you have a menu for this? You have a little party with your little family?
Well,
You have friends over?
no. Well, we're going to the Lady Raider game. It's at 6, so obviously we would be done, home by 9 or something like that. But no, I don't have anything planned. I think this would be the year if because our daughter just turned 9. I just don't know if she could physically make it to midnight. I just don't think I've ever seen her up that late. I don't think she can do it. She is such a she goes to bed, man, and she sleeps. We've been very fortunate for the majority of her life that's what she does. But I don't know. Yeah, we don't have anything planned beyond that. I will do my ritual of starting Freebird at 11:55 and 5 seconds or whatever it is, so that the solo hits when the ball drops. But most of the time I do that, I'm the only person still up, and I'm kind of forcing it. So that's really about it. Yeah, that's it. I distinctly remember one year I was really not feeling good, and I celebrated with a shot of Robitussin. That was
Nice.
my New Year's nightcap. But I do have no real official plan except to see the Lady Raiders get a dub versus UCF. What about you guys?
So we typically would get together with everybody and do snack foods and games and everything until 11 o'clock, watch the New York ball drop, and then some families would head out and we would just kind of tinker around and do a toast with our sparkling cider at midnight and then run home. We wouldn't participate out there in our South Lubbock neighborhood and all the fireworks. We had a friend we met for dinner this past week, so they had already started all the fireworks. Like
I heard some the other night.
You know what happened? Like, well, granted, I wasn't here. I have not heard any fireworks here. So I don't miss that. But no, so Samantha and I, we stopped at the store on the way home. We got a pared down little menu for our little gathering. Our gathering, it's just going to be us. Some meats and cheeses, some dips, avocados to make guac. We got a little tray of the heat and eat brisket queso.
Oh yes.
We got, you brought this on when you mentioned the artichoke, the jalapeno artichoke dip. We got a spinach artichoke dip and pita chips, and all kinds of sweets that we got from my mom's. I was actually disappointed this year. You know, the holiday gatherings and things. I typically just gobble up all the sweets. We haven't had the same opportunity this year. I haven't had the same. I've just been, my sweet tooth has gone unsatisfied this holiday season.
Oh no.
So it's gonna be okay.
Valentine's Day is around the corner.
Survive. I'm not going hungry here. All right, that'll do it for us on the 23 Personnel podcast. Getting you ready for the Orange Bowl, the CFP quarterfinals matchup between your Texas Tech Red Raiders and the Ducks of the University of Oregon. Kicking off 11 a.m. New Year's Day. Michael and I both have the Texas Tech Red Raiders winning. We will be back for a reaction episode once that game goes final. Until then, guns up. Catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to the 23 Personnel Podcast. Help us out by subscribing, rating the show, and leaving a review. Follow us on Twitter at 23 Personnel, Spencer at FunSuck, and Michael at Michael_LVK. Be sure to catch the next episode. And until then, guns up and let the tortillas fly.